Hello, welcome to Cox Notes. Any of you who've become acquainted with me know that I like to have kind of unusual and unique guns. And I want to talk about one today that started out with a big plan and that didn't materialize. But I've since come up with something else, and that's what I want to go through today. Now, this is a 20 gauge double barrel stagecoach style shotgun. And if you were going out to buy a really quality shotgun, you probably wouldn't pick on this one. It's a Chinese make. I think it was made in a place called Zhongzhou, China, and then imported several years back. And I bought this, like I say, with another plan in mind. But stick with me, and I'm going to show you what I finally decided to do with this shotgun and run you through it and have a little fun. And I hope what it'll do in the long run is maybe challenge you to be a little inventive. So let's get on with it. The owners of even the earliest firearms often like to decorate their guns up, some of them with beautiful, intricate carvings and jewels and silver inlays. My little Chinese-made 20 gauge shotgun didn't warrant a bunch of fancy pearls and silver beads, but I had something else in mind. I have a photograph taken in the late 1800s depicting the last trip made by the stagecoach between Montrose, Colorado and Ouray, Colorado. I thought it'd be a fun thing if I could take my little stagecoach gun and have the image of a stagecoach on it. After a lot of thought and more than a little bit of research, I came up with a plan. The first step in the process was to create a reverse image of my photo. That done, it was on with the project. I started by peeling all of the address labels from a sheet of labels, leaving just the slick surface that they originally adhered to. So in order to get this little project done, obviously what I'm trying to do is put an image on the side of this stock. And I've cut out my image, and I explained earlier how that's been flipped so it comes out the right direction. And I printed this one on standard paper and cut it out in the shape that I want to cut it out. We're going to do that a little bit differently and use a different medium. But I did this so I could mark it on the stock about where I want it. And I'm just going to use a lead pencil and just kind of position this thing and make some marks. And the purpose behind that is so that I can fit the other one on there a little later. And now that I've got that marked, what I'm going to do is that area where that image is going to go, I'm going to sand that off. I'm going to sand it off pretty good. Get down to where it's got the grain of the wood exposed is the main thing. And the main thing here is to sand it down to where it opens up the grain in the stock, because later we are going to transfer an image on there that is done with an inkjet printer, and the ink needs to absorb into that wood. So just sand it down real well, get that grain opened up a little bit, and make sure your image, the area that you're image is going to cover is pretty well sanded. The next step. So what I've done, I've taken some standard address labels and I peeled them all off so it leaves that waxy surface here, and then I printed my image onto that surface. Now you have to be real careful because it doesn't dry on there. So if you touch it, it's going to smudge. So what I want to do then is I want to cut that image out close to the size that's going to be the final on it without touching it. So I cut that off, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of pieces of masking tape on this, on the back side of it, before I start messing with it. So now I have my image like I want it, and it goes this way. So I'm going to carefully lay it down here, and then I'm going to tape it down just a little bit wrong there. Okay, and tape it down with the masking tape, and careful now so it doesn't move around at all. Now what I have here is just a miniature paint roller, and we'll just press that good and hard. So now it's time for the big reveal, as they say. And I think what I'll do is just cut that masking tape off. And so we have our image, and it's not, like I say, real bold image, but it kind of does what we want it to do. It shows that stagecoach, and get this up here where you can see it. And now there's the stagecoach on there, and I'm going to probably do a little wood burning of the caption that was on that, but it comes out fairly well. Now the next thing we'll do is we'll put a light coat of polyurethane spray on it. Don't use a brush on this because you'll smear the ink, so we'll use some polyurethane spray and let it dry real well before we handle it too much. So now what I have is a unique firearm with a unique image on the stock that memorializes that last stagecoach trip between Montrose, Colorado and Ouray, Colorado. In this video, we took a short look back into history. Our right to keep and bear arms is much more than what is written in the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution. Ownership of firearms gives us the opportunity to teach and learn about the history of the United States as well as the world, for that matter. We can learn and in turn teach about the great outdoors, about the joy of hunting and the respect for the wildlife that we hunt and harvest. Firearms allows us to mentor our youth, not just in shooting and hunting, but in responsibility and safety. So remember and pass it on to all the generations to come that every right comes with responsibility. And in order to take full advantage of your rights, you have to be responsible. I'm Bob Cox. This is Cox Notes. Thanks for watching. And share the video with others and subscribe to the channel. And have a wonderful day.